Next, we will talk about different type of the biological macromolecules. We will talk about lipids. So lipids are non-polar. It means they will not have this different electrical charge in different part of the molecules like water does. And because of this, they are insoluble in water. We cannot dissolve them. And because of this, they are hydrophobic. They do not like water. They not easy dissolve in the water. So example of the location of the lipids in the living organism, it's part of the membrane. So because all living organisms made up of the cells, and each cell have border kind of, yes. So each cell have cellular membrane, it's called cellular membrane, like a border around each cell. And it's made of the lipids. Some bacterial cells walls made up of the lipids, and also overall main function of the lipids, because of this, they separate inside of the cell from the outside environment. The other function of the lipids is storage of the energy, and inside of the cells we can find sometimes lipid droplets of the lipids. So overall, we have three types of lipids. We have simple lipids, the other name for them fats or triglycerides, and they made up of the glycerol and fatty acid. So overall, glycerol and fatty acid are building block all lipids. So not only simple lipids, but complex lipids, steroids, what we will talk about later. They all made up of the building block, glycerol and fatty acids. So in here show glycerol, and in here show three different type, different fatty acid. So they different because this is R or radical. It represents that it's all different. R with dots in here. But if we combine fatty acids and glycerol in the chemical reaction, we will produce triglycerides or simple fats. And because this is by synthesis reaction, we will remove water, it means, so also water will be produced in here. So now you know that what are the building blocks of the lipids in our case. Second class of the lipids will be complex lipids. And they complex because not only they have fatty acids and glycerol, they also have different additional elements. For example, they can have phosphorus, or they can have nitrogen, or they can have sulfur. So one of the most important complex lipids in all cells are phospholipids. So phospholipids, it means what they have? They have, all cells are phospholipids. So phospholipids, it means what they have? They have glycerol. Not only they have fatty acids and glycerol, they also have different additional elements. For example, they can have phosphorus, or they can have nitrogen, or they can have sulfur. So one of the most important complex lipids in all cells are phospholipids. So phospholipids, it means what they have? They have glycerol, they have fatty acids, but they also have phosphate group. And in here show one molecule of the phospholipid. So this structure around what is shown in here, made up of the phosphate, this is phosphate, and glycerol, this is a glycerol. And all together it's called hydrophilic head, because this part like water. It's like water, yes. It could be not like dissolve in the water, but it could be attached to it, we can say. The other parts, two different parts of the phospholipids, it's called hydrophobic tails. And in here we have tail 1, very straight molecule, and it's a saturated fatty acid, and the other bended molecule, so this is unsaturated fatty acid. So these all parts are parts of the one phospholipids, and they call hydrophobic tails because these parts do not like water. They will be staying away from the water. So if we will put several molecules of the phospholipids on the top of the water, what will happen is that this phospholipid automatically self-organize without any influence, any kind of, into the phospholipids bilayer in here. Phospholipid bilayer. Bilayer mean bi, it's like two layers. This is one phospholipid and attached to them this whole layer, one layer. This is the other phospholipid and attached to this the other layer. So bilayer, we have two layers. And do you see how they beautifully organized together? So water will be in here and water will be in here. And they will self-organize like this phospholipids inside of the water because this part, red part, is hydrophilic heads. And they hydrophilic, they like water, so they will be close to the water. But this is yellow part in here, 1 and 2. All this, it's a hydrophobic tails. They hate water, so they will be far away from the water, attached to each other, kind of, yes, orientated to each other. And this kind of orientation called phospholipid bilayer, and this is major component of the cellular membrane of the all living organisms. So all cells in living organism made up. So this is like 3 cells, we can say, and they all have membrane around. This is 1, 2, 3 membranes, and membrane, major component of the membrane is bilayer of the phospholipids. And we can say that this model, it's like bread and butter sandwich. Bread represent hydrophilic heads, and butter represent hydrophobic tails in here. So phospholipids of membrane, what they function, yes? So they act as a barrier. It's a barrier that separates the content of the cell from the water-based environment. So cells, yes, they usually in the living organism, they surround in kind of water environment and here liquid. And so this is cell of these 3 cells. They made up of this bilayer of the phospholipids, and water cannot easily pass through this bilayer of the phospholipids. So water cannot easily pass inside of the cell. This is outside of the cell. This is inside of the cell. So water cannot easily pass inside of the cell from the outside because cellular membrane is a barrier. It prevents this is easy floating of the water or anything else together with water. So phospholipids are main components of the membrane in animal, plant cells, and membranes form cellular compartments or organelles. So how we will talk on some future lectures. We have different type of the cells, eukaryotic and prokaryotic. So prokaryotic, it's a simple cells, it's bacterial cells, bacteria. But eukaryotic is complex cells, and it's plants and animal cells. And if we look inside of the prokaryotic cells, so this is a cellular membrane, it's made up of the phospholipids. This is will be nucleus of this bacteria. They have special name, nucleoid, and it's just genetic material in here laid down. And it have ribosomes in here. But, and this is cytoplasm, all yellow, this is jelly-like component cytoplasm. And it's simple cell. But if we talk about eukaryotic cells, the more complex plants, animal cells, we will see that yes, we have this is nucleus, we have cellular membrane, but inside of the cells, we also have different, it's called cellular organelle. It's like cellular organs, like our body have organs, heart, lungs, and cells, which our body made up, all also have organs, only small ones, so they call cellular organelles, small organs. And each cellular organelles surrounded here by the what? Membrane. Again, so we have each cell surround with membrane to prevent easy flow of something with water and the other components inside of the cell. And inside of the cells, we have cellular membrane surrounding and creating cellular organs, cellular organelles. So function in this case will be to prevent anything go in and out of the cellular organelles easy. So cellular membrane always a barrier. It's a membrane, it's always a barrier. It's prevent easy transport of the different stuff. And it's isolate chemical reactions which can happen in one cellular organelles from the chemical reactions happening in the other cellular organelles. So this is very important function of the cell, of the membrane overall. And this process when membrane isolating and making this is different cellular organelles inside of the cell, it's called compartmentalization, creating of the small compartments or cellular organelles. And function of the compartmentalization to separate chemical reactions in different cellular organelles. And it's important for overall survival of the cell. Third type of the lipids called steroids. And steroids is very interesting molecules because they made up or contain 4 interconnected carbon rings. So in here, 1 ring, in here 1 ring, second ring in here, third ring in here, fourth ring in here. And every in here connection kind of what they do not show, yes, each in here intersection kind of, this is carbon atom. So this is our 4 interconnected carbon rings, and it's steroids. And steroids also divided on the different types. So we have sterols, and they are components of the plasma membrane of the animal, plants, fungi, bacterial cells, any kind of cell. We have sterols. Also, we have cholesterol. So this is very important, and it's only present in the animal cells. And this is our good cholesterol because it has important function. It's maintain fluidity of the membrane. And then we will have third type of the steroids. It's called sex hormones, and they, like testosterone, estrogen, it's important molecules which regulate, have regulatory effect on the other body parts. So, but it's in the animals, we can say, yes. So this is our sex hormones. It's also steroids. So on this diagram, we can see main components of the membrane. So again, this is two layers. This is phospholipids, bilayer of the phospholipids. How you can see phospholipids, this is main component of the membrane. But we have, so again, phospholipids, this is the main component. This is blue in here, what we can see, and yellow part. But also have in here the other lipids, such as sterols. Sterols in here, this is orange molecules in here, and they have important functions. Sterols, they separate fatty acids. They separate in the phospholipids, hydrophobic tails, fatty acids. They separate them and they prevent packaging of themselves. If we will be in the low temperature environment. So this is what prevent, what maintain fluidity. So our cells not rigid and not breaking down by the low temperature. It's fluid, it's flexible because we have sterols, we have these lipids which preventing packaging of the fatty acids. Okay, next we have proteins, and we have two main type of the proteins. One type is integral proteins. So integral, like in here, very large integral protein. Integral, it's transmembrane. It's like penetrates through the membrane. So this is one transmembrane or integral protein. The other proteins could be peripheral proteins. And in here, for example, peripheral protein, we can say, yes. Or in here could be peripheral proteins on the periphery. The other, we have carbohydrates. So also carbohydrates could be in the form of the glycolipids. Glycolipids, like in here, for example, this is glycolipids. Or glycoproteins. I don't know if they're shown in here. So it's just different type of the proteins again. Okay, so now you will be able to describe structure and function of the cellular membrane.